Hello there, VMAXers. I'm just Gen 2 VMAXers to be specific. I'm just trying to make up for the fact that our VMAX forum website is down. We're in really good instructions where you could find other VMAX writers' experience with installing this HealTech SpeedoHealer. You can order them on eBay. I think they're like 110 bucks, or on Amazon too, or directly from their website. It's all same price, right around 110 bucks. To me, it's worth it. It's not plug and play. A lot of people think you can just plug it in. It is not plug and play, even though it does look like it's bike specific, so you'd assume that you could just plug it in and go, but no such thing with this thing. So what you get is you get two bags. You get the actual wiring harness, which is separate. Kind of odd that comes separate, but I guess that's bike specific. I don't know why, what the deal is, but for some reason they put the wiring harness in this side. Over here they put the actual computer unit, and then this wire here is just a top speed. It's a micro switch that you can run up to the front of your bike or put wherever you want. Put it in a hidden position so the cops can't see it, whatever. But what you do is when you push this button, it'll display up here on your speedometer your last top two speeds, or two top speeds. Pardon my getting my words mixed up here, but so what I'm going to have here is I've got this package here, which is going to getting ready to be installed on another bike in another town. I don't have the bike here, otherwise I'd show you the process, but I'm just creating this video to help anybody who's trying to install this so they don't return this thing, because this is kind of a jewel to me. It gives you your accurate speed. I've got mine mounted right under here, right under my rear seat. I'll back up so you can see. I got it mounted right here, just by Velcro. There's a little vertical plate in there. I just got it Velcroed there so that way I can pull it out if I need. I just routed my wires underneath along the right side of the bike, and then up here, and then I connect it into here. So what a lot of people are asking is they're wondering, which wire do I tap into? Well, that's what this video is for, mainly, is to answer that. The wire that you're going to tap into is right here on your ECU. It's on the right connector. As you look at the bike, it's on the right connector, and it's the second wire from the top left. And it's a white and yellow wire. I don't know if it's white with a yellow stripe or yellow with a white stripe. I got my heat shrink up there so close, but that's what color the wire is. Where I got mixed up when I was getting help installing it is I thought I just got to tap into that wire. I didn't know that you have to actually cut that wire and intercept that signal. So what you're doing here is, you'll see in this harness, there's a white, there's a red, and there's a green wire. You're intercepting that signal with those wires. Your red is simply power. I'll show you that here in just a minute. That red is just simply power. I think you can draw that from any ignition switch 12 volts source. This is what I found to help to be the closest and easiest, but we'll get to that later. The main thing we're going to talk about is this wire here that we're intercepting the signal from. So you've got a signal coming from your rear wheel that's telling the ECU how fast it's rolling. You need to intercept that. So you got to cut that wire. You got to cut this yellow. If I can get close enough here, you got to cut this yellow, white and yellow wire. I think it's white with a yellow stripe, really, when I look at it now. But anyway, you know where it's at. I just showed you where it's located. You've got to cut that, and you got to hook this white wire from this harness. You got to hook that white wire to that. That's going to intercept the incoming signal from the rear wheel, is what it's going to do. It's going to intercept that. It's going to route it through this computer back here. This computer is going to process that. It's going to adjust it to whatever percentage you set it at. I have to reduce mine by 6.7%, and I'll explain how you do that here a little bit later. So you're gonna hook into that. That's going to run through the computer, and then it's going to come out of the green wire on this harness. That's going to be the corrected signal. That's going to go into here, go into the ECU, and by some magic, sorcery, wizardry, I don't know, it's going to process, and it's going to go, and it's going to display the correct speed up here on your speedometer. So it's going to be accurate to however you set it. I reduced mine by 6.7%, and I'll explain how to do that here a little bit later. So that's what you got to do. Just make sure you know this is not plug and play. You've got to cut that wire, and you got to get this signal coming from the rear wheel, run it through that computer, and then come out with the green wire and hook into the wire that's going into the ECU with a corrected signal, and that will get you the correct speed up on your speedometer. I think you get it by now. You can rewind it, play it as many times as you want. Onto the power. What I did is I just took this red wire, ran it up in here. I like to add extra protection whenever there's bends and things like that. That's just the way I am. I like to use a lot of heat shrink, so I order the stuff by the foot. I ran just through this little piece of plastic sleeve here, came up, and I tied into the red wire, and it looks like a purple stripe to me. But I tied my red wire from this harness over here, I ran my red wire, and I just cut into it. I wrapped around, I cut the insulation off, I wrapped around, pardon my aim in the camera here, I'm looking at what I'm looking at, not through the camera. But anyway, so you tap, I just wrapped my wire around that, soldered it, and then I couldn't put heat shrink on there because, of course, I didn't have an end to push it over unless I would have taken it out of this. I believe this is one of the fuel injector controllers. It's this one. I'll back off to show you which one. That shows you kind of where it is in relation to the ECU and the bike. It's the one right on top, and it's the top right wire. So you can find a 12-volt ignition switch source anywhere else on the bike. That's just where I found it, where another gentleman on Star VMAX, I think, told me to hook into, and it worked great for him. Figured if it worked great for him, it'd work great for me. So that's wiring it up. It's really not that hard, guys. Don't return it. It's not plug and play, and it does come with some of these, I call them Scotch clips, but I don't know what they are. You can do it without soldering. You can tap into it. That does not change the fact that you've got to cut that. Let me get my camera right. You got to cut that yellow and white wire, white and yellow wire. That's right here on your plug, right there. So you've got to cut that in order to get there. That's where I was wrong. I just kept about beating my head against the wall trying to figure out how am I supposed to do this. And then I thought, oh, you got to cut the wire. So that's where we're at with that. Now, what I did to get my proper speed is I got my cell phone mount, put it up here on my handlebars, just downloaded a simple GPS one that had a good rating on it, and went out on the road, and I just took mental notes. I think I rode about 5 miles just down the interstate. We live right next to the interstate. I took it up to 100. Yeah, breaking the law, but took it up to 100 on my speedometer, and then I noted what the actual GPS accurate speed was on my phone. I kept that in my memory. I did 100, I did 90, I did 80 on that 5 mile out trip. I stopped, I got on my phone, I put it in my notes app. I'm sure everybody has some sort of a notes app. And so I did that, and I put that in the phone, and then on my way back, I did the next 3 sets of 10 mile an hour down. And then as I came into town, I just noted the actual speed versus what was displayed on the speedometer. That's before any correction, because when you plug that in, it's going to have a 0 correction. And then you can just read the instructions. The instructions are pretty decent about telling you how to enter the speed, enter the proper code back here. And every time you start it, it'll flash that up. Mine's 6.7% reduced is how far off my speed was. There's actually an app you can download. I don't know if it has a speedometer app, speedometer function to it. I just got a good one off of the Google Play Store. I run Android. I'm sure they have it on the Apple Store as well. There's one at about every place. So anyway, just find a good one, download it, get your speed correction, figure it out. There's tables. The app that you download will actually tell you put in your actual speed and what was shown on the speedometer. It'll tell you what your correction should be. I picked kind of the most common speed that I ride, which is kind of highway speeds. And I used that as a base and figured out how much I wanted to correct it by. I went out after I entered that correction. I kept that on my handlebar, and it was on within about a half a mile an hour, because the speedometer that I downloaded did give decimals. It wasn't to the single mile per hour, but it did give decimals. So anyway, I hope this video is helpful. I'm not that great at doing these videos, but I thought, man, people are asking me, and I thought, I had somebody, they know I have it, so they're like, hey, what'd you tap into? So I thought, well, I'm going to pull my faux tank cover one time, and I'm going to do this so that way I can help people out. But anyway, just keep in mind, once again, you can rewind it, but it's this wire right here. It's the second one. It's in the right connector, and it's yellow and white, or white and yellow, but you'll find it. It's right there. Hope this helps. If you have any questions, just ask them in the comments below. I'll kind of monitor this and answer any questions we have. I think that pretty well covers it, and I appreciate you watching.